Okay, Chris Speaks back with Brandon Mosley for our BCS State of Alabama podcast, and we got Alabama Second Congressional District candidate here. What back with us today, Chris Horn. Chris, my man. So yesterday we was interviewing one of your opponents, and they brought up that you plan to sue the GOP, and that was the first I'd heard of it. Is that true?
Who said that?
Was it David Matthews that we had on
Yeah, with
yesterday, Brandon?
Matthews. Yeah.
So that's, I don't plan on doing anything. What I do plan on doing is doing everything I can to save us from a total meltdown. Suing the GOP is not legally possible. I don't think you can do that. I do think that the most important thing we need to talk about today is what's happening in our election. I believe in election integrity. You know, Chris, you guys know that for the last couple of years, that's been my tick, working for um, the very best we can get when it comes down to elections. And unfortunately, we have a major problem that the Republican Party, my party, has created. And I'm advocating anything that we can do to stop the Democrats from taking over our elections. We're talking about less than 7% expected turnout. We're talking about how we're going to um, respond to what the vice president of the Democrat Party has. She's been saying it for weeks. She has been consistent. Ms. Eisner is someone who is the outgoing vice president of the Democrat Party. She has given us a blueprint, and our chairman, Scott Stadhagen, has responded. He and I have talked. Committee members have talked. Lawyers have talked. The reality is we can't stop this machine of Democrats who are going to vote in our election. And last time we talked, you recall that I talked about this very clearly, was that our turnout is so low that it only takes a couple thousand, 3,000 Democrats to mobilize, pick the candidate of their choice, and they're going to win.
Do we even know which candidate? I mean, I know they've come out and said they don't want Jerry Carl to win in one. So I don't want to put words in their mouths. Who are they endorsing? I mean, who are the Democrats supposedly voting for in one and in two?
It could be Matthews in two. The person who really embarrassed himself yesterday down in the Wiregrass. He insulted the senator, her mom, who runs her club there in the Wiregrass, and her father, Katie Britt's dad, was there, and he said some very demeaning words to her sitting next to her.
Who said that?
William Matthews, is his name William? I don't know what his name is. Matthews.
David
David.
Matthews.
David.
Okay.
Yeah. And David's got a chip on his shoulder, like a lot of politicians do, right? But it's his first go around, and he insulted Katie Britt. He insulted her mother, and he insulted her father in a. I don't understand what he was doing. He was talking about Rhett Marcus and how, you know, the only reason why Trump supports this person. None of that matters, right? This he's a novice. He doesn't know what he's doing. And if he would follow my lead, he can have a bright future. One of the things that you have to do is understand how elections actually work. And how elections typically work from an engineering standpoint is you electioneer and you try to have Republicans, or in some part Democrats, to vote for you in your primary. And your goal is to get more votes than the person who is in your same race. It's playing football and knowing how to play the game to win the game, right? The reality is that's not what's happening here, because there is no Democrat on the vote line for the Democrat Party in Congressional District 2. Shamari has already moved on to be their nominee. So you've got a large tens of thousands of Democrats who have nowhere to go. Their goal is not about a candidate. Their goal is to choose the weakest candidate to run against Shamari. It's math. Now, Chris, I know you said some things directly to her because I saw some of the things that you you typed on Facebook toward her. But I have been saying it for since June. We are extremely vulnerable because it doesn't matter. And I said this to the party, and I say it to you guys straight up. If I went out here and I went out and got all the Democrat votes, the first thing they'll say is you're a traitor. Then they'll say, well, you just went out and got all the black vote, and most of the black vote is Democrat. That's what they would have said. And you and we've talked about this. I want Republicans to vote in Republican primaries. I mean, and now our voter turnout is so low that it's like a prom election at your high school. So at the end of the day, only 1% of the entire voting population in CD2 is going to determine this race. Who do they want? I think that they understand who are the stronger candidates. Probably myself, because I have an electoral record they can point to, and I've seen people talk about that. I've won votes, haven't won races, but I came in second, and Secretary of State had a very, very large vote turnout. I won Congressional District 7 primary, and then I let my good friend take it from there as we went to a 60-30, 70-30 district 2024. And so part of that district now is in Congressional District 2, so I have an electoral vote count. No one else has won votes in this race but me and Rhett. So ultimately...
Well, Hampton did run last time.
Oh, did he run last time?
2 years ago. So
how'd that go for him? How'd he end up doing?
He just missed the runoff, but he did finish ahead of Senator Greg Albritton. So it was given how much money Caroline had and how well known Dick Brubaker is, they're finishing third in that circumstance out of 8 candidates was respectable in his first time out ever.
And frankly, that's where this is going to get a little convoluted because I like Hampton, but the district has changed fundamentally. Congressional District 2 is almost 50-50. I'm out there and I've been looking at this since the Secretary of State race, and I've been telling the party, I don't know what you thought when we got this map, but when 70%, we got all of Montgomery County and 72% of it is Black and Hispanic. And so that means
remember, this is a compromise map. This is not the map.
It was supposed to be I don't know what compromise that. This is not that.
The 2022 map, the court threw out. So the legislature had to write a new map, and so they drew this map to make it more competitive. So it's intentionally competitive. But it's not as cool as what Barry Moore was elected to, his last time representing 2 in 2022.
That is correct. And ultimately you're dealing with someone who's an incumbent. Chris, this guy's in office right now. And we saw what happened to Caroline 2 years ago. And it spooked her so bad that she didn't want to come close to this race. And it's changed in Republicans' favor, and she still would rather run for Secretary of State. And that tells you everything. She knows what I see clearly is this new map is worse because it's got all of Montgomery County and none of Autauga County, which is Prattville. None of it. 0. So when Hampton and those folks ran, they had all of Prattville to pull votes to offset a little bit.
No, 2 years ago, Elmore and Otago were in 6.
I had 2 years ago, we had part of Autauga in our district. It was split. We only had we didn't have all of Montgomery County. What I'm saying is that the numbers that we're projecting, what Ms. Eisner is projecting and doing in this type of election where you don't have a Democrat to go to the ballot, they can walk into our election, check the button and walk out. Like Chris said, who are they targeting? We don't know, but those injected ballots that are going to be in our race are going to make a difference. Number two, and here's what my challenge is I'm not hyperbolic, man. I've been at this a long time. I am the Republican Party. So this guy who's talking about what he has done and hasn't done anything, I would absolutely take task to the Republicans in the legislature and Democrats who said that we did not have a runoff. We have no runoff. We've got 6 candidates, and we're acting like this is a schoolyard 60-yard dash race for a medal. That's not what this is supposed to be about. And it's not that way in the code of Alabama. And I don't care how special your primary is, if they've got runoffs in 3 districts, 3, 4, and 5, and we don't have them in our primary, that's wrong. That's not voter integrity. That's not what I have stood up for on the stump for almost 10 years now. Make the rules the same for everyone. That's non-negotiable for me. If everyone else has runoffs or have the ability to have runoffs, why did you create an election where we don't have runoffs? If you're going to do that, absolutely, I'm going to challenge you, because when we get sued on August the 27th, and we probably will, the Democrats are going to file lawsuits against what is happening in this primary. And when they wait till the 27th to do it, we can't put our names back on ballot. The bigger issue is whether or not this is even constitutional. We've got an issue with Amendment 4. Amendment 4 was a part of the Constitution that we went to the ballot box and passed that said that we could not make major adjustments to the primary to the general election slate, meaning any issue that's dealing with the election, you have to do it within a 6-month closed window before the election. And we're about 5 days after that. We've got proclamations. So this has been things that have been said behind the doors for since HB1, since May when we did this. There's stuff behind the doors that if we don't get out right now, the Democrats on August 27th, they're sitting back. Have you noticed how quiet they are? Because they're sitting back knowing that they're going to start filing challenges to qualifying.
Well,
they're going to file one even against John Wall.
I was told
Chris, let me ask you this. Yesterday, I know the first time we talked, or a few weeks ago, you said that you were the candidate who could best win this district in the fall. Yesterday, David Matthews said he was the best candidate to win this race. Do you have a response to that?
I mean, I don't respond to anything that anyone else says. I stick to what I say, and I'll say what I do believe. If he thinks he's better, then that's great. Good for him. He's supposed to think that. If you're in a race and you think that you're better, you're supposed to think that. The truth of the matter is, all you have to do is look back 2 years ago. And Caroline Dobson, who's a very, very strong candidate, very strong, she saw something and that she does not like, that you have to still be able to understand that votes matter. Over in Congressional District 7, for instance, whether it was me or what's our good friend's name? When she was running, she did a good job.
Robin
What's her name?
Robin Lydecker.
Yeah, Robin. Robin and I have always had a good friendship. And she was saying the same thing back then. And she did something. It's not about her race. but it's culture. You can't be a swamp creature policy wonk candidate in a VRA Section 2 opportunity district. It ain't going to work as a Republican. That's not going to work against Shamari figures. You have to be able to be relatable, conversational. You have to be able to go to the picnics, the churches, the fraternity meetings. You have to be able to go to the inner city high school football games. And you're not going to win a whole lot of votes. But if you can peel off 8 to 10%, it's over. If you ignore that community, or you can't get that, and you're from the wiregrass, you've never been in an election before or for somewhere else, you may be able to win the primary, but it's going to be very, very tough to win in the general.
I was told the reason we used the 2023 map is because of that amendment to the Alabama Constitution that we can't change an election within 6 months.
That is
so
correct.
When the court threw out, the lower courts redistricting, the legislators told me that it automatically would revert to the way they drew it in the compromise map of 2023. That's why, 7 changed, but we didn't turn that into majority, white district. We left it as a majority minority district, and why we reverted to this rather interesting drawing of 2 was because that was what the legislature put on the books in 2023, trying to satisfy the court.
All that to say, I agree with everything you said. I don't listen to other candidates because they haven't been in the grind, Brandon, like you have or Chris has. They can talk about why they think they're quote unquote the best. But what you're saying as a guy who's been in it, it has created a perfect storm for the Democrats because we won't be able to go back into the lab and look at the numbers probably till 2030, maybe 2028. But we have to make some changes. They want to keep this map because population dynamics have changed drastically since that map. It's all the way into Pike Road, all that area. And see, the reason why I keep talking about Montgomery is the volume of population that they have. Houston County is our most red population. But contiguously, if Montgomery is the entire county and the Democrats mobilize their vote and you don't have a message or a platform that's in sync with the Black Belt, like Lowndes County not having running water, Lowndes County not having sanitation being backed up into their homes. And if you're a candidate that's super Trump in a moderate district, a Martha Roby district, it's not going to work. I do know that you then on top of it, just for the primary, you have Democrats who are able to pick your candidate. Then the third piece, which you just stated about, was not having a runoff. Everywhere I go, everyone says, why don't you all have a runoff? It became the number one issue on the campaign trail. And I told the party, I said, I don't know if this thing is even legal. I just don't. And the reason why we shouldn't be into that is because we are the party of Save America. We're the party of fair and free elections. That does not go to photo ID. It goes to qualification. It goes to how we run an election. You can't have a runoff in District 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 6, and 7. You're saying we're going to do something different in the same cycle. Unless, Brandon, you can tell me, when has that ever happened before?
Well, I mean, we are breaking new ground here, but we don't have a runoff in District 1 either, which is on the ballot. And we don't have a runoff. Of course, we don't need one in 6 because there's just the 2 candidates.
Or 7.
Yeah, or 7, because again, there's just 2 candidates. Although it would still have applied if a 3rd candidate had qualified.
100%. So I can't be called. The thing is guys, is that when you're in a race, and the gentleman who you spoke to, for instance, he's not, you're talking about seasoned, gristled veterans, right? You're talking about Rhett. You're talking about me. We're guys who, we've been at this for a while. We not agree on everything, but we know this is a blood sport, politics. And every time you move the bar, like not having a runoff, it makes your message watered down, because the Democrats are going to have a strong reason to say, hey, that was a Republican special primary. We didn't participate in that. You Republicans did that yourself. You wanted it, you got it. We went on to the general. And guess what? Let's look at, you guys don't even have runoffs. I mean, the messaging for me has been horrible because.
Well, now remember, there is a Democrat primary in 6 where there is 3 candidates. So theoretically, they could be facing the same situation.
They absolutely can. And they're going to be able to say, it's our fault. We run the state legislature, not the Democrats. We make the rules for time, place, and manner, and which is typically what our legislature does, but our governor was able to do this time by proxy because it's a special. And I do understand why, but even if it's Democrats, I don't, as long as a football field is 100 yards long for the red team, it should be the same for the blue team, and it should be the same for every race. And it's inexcusable. Because now with less than 20 to 23%, you're going to win a race with 23% of the vote. And that vote is a tiny sliver of 6% of the population. That's not representing a congressional district at all. So I do have and I absolutely have gone through all the proper resources, because I realize, and even what you said, even though they have it there, the Democrats are waiting till after the 27th, and they're going to file and say, hey, was it even legal for you guys to have this election without a runoff? Let's take it to the judge and find out. Was it illegal for us to have an election with Amendment 4? Let's take it and let's see. Because if you lose, then your nominee is going to be off the ballot. That's a party issue. That's us as a collective team. We can't let them get an advantage on us even after we vote on Tuesday. So by any means required, we have to save the party. I have fought tooth and nail when it comes down to what Ms. Eisner is saying with the Democrat election. And she was clear. She just didn't say Democrats can run in District 2. She said, this is how you do it, this is when you do it, and this is why you do it. Our response should have been immediate. We're going to close down our election and we're going to go to a delegate vote. We're less than 5-6% of turnout in the middle of the summer. We got what we wanted from Calais, the case. If we're going to have this small of a population and the Democrats can win and they can manipulate our election, let's just go to a delegate race, nomination, and punt the football, let the party decide who they want and why they want them, and we'll go from there. That's just where I'm at.
How would you pick the delegate? How would you pick the delegates?
I think we already have it in the world. They pick the regional delegates, the executive committee chairman. I think from
the
Peeks
meeting
County.
we just had last week would have picked it had they gone to a convention deal.
What did they say now? I didn't hear you.
I said that had they decided to decide it by convention, they would have just let the state executive committee, those 440 which are already in place, pick who the candidates are. It would have been pretty
100%.
straightforward. They probably would broke it down
100%.
by congressional districts, but they already have, there are state Republican
Our
party
state executive
offices
committee is picked from,
chosen.
our state committee would probably have done that. And you all have to understand, the party would have rather that went that way, guys. Because if this doesn't go the way that it should go, right, then we're going to look bad. And we could control our own destiny. And 1 and 2 would be, they're the only ones that have at least 3 in the race. But I'm all for
1, 2, and 6 on the Democrat side.
On the Republican side, 1 and 2.
Yeah, just 1 and 2.
Right. So I was just talking on the Republican.
Yeah. But for the viewers, there's also the possibility this could happen to a Democrat candidate.
And that's why how many do they have in District 2? They just have
I think there's 6 of y'all or 7, isn't there?
No, I know in District 6 only Shamari's on the ballot, and I think in District 7.
No, in District 2 Shamari's on the ballot.
Yeah, District 2, District 7. I think
there's just 2 Democrat. Well, there's 2 Republicans running in 7. They will face Sewell. Gary Palmer and Case Dixon are running in 6 on the Republican side, and there's 3 Democrats whom I cannot name all of them running in the Democrat primary on Tuesday. So in theory, a Democrat could win that without 50% of the Democrat vote. And I'm not hearing anything from that election. So
I've heard 0.
I've heard nothing. I mean, I don't even get press releases from any of those 3 candidates. So I have no idea how they're reaching out to voters.
Well, you don't even...
I interviewed one of them, Jacob something, Boomer Sims, and I think he's just social media. I don't even know who the other 2 are.
So you have to
reached out to Pilkington on social media.
Yeah, and so you have to look at what's happened, right? So we didn't get any. We got 10% turnout in the primary runoff. I'm talking about and that included some pretty top of the ticket races. Absolutely, there are a lot of executive committee chairmen who I talk to. They don't like what's going on because we're struggling with turnout, period. The Republican Party has a turnout problem, not just in Alabama. Tyrus was talking about it on Fox News a couple of days ago. And it's not because of lack of effort, lack of money. And in the case of money, for instance, just what happened in Michigan day before yesterday, right? So they get a big injection of money, $50 million, $60 million was ingested in that election. And the Democrat Socialists had 6 million or 5 million or something like that. And he won. He won. And so now as pundits and understanding, now that we have the new law that allows the RNC to give money directly to the party and they can coordinate with the candidates, the money's not an issue anymore. It's just not. What is the issue is, can you get your people to the polls? And right now, people are getting their kids back to school on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it would have been better, as we've known for the last 3 or 4 weeks. The very best thing we should have done was taken it to a convention vote. And there are people who won't say it out loud. I am saying it. I've been saying it out loud to the right people. And some of the legislatures have reached out to me, and their concern is on the 27th that, especially in the VRA, because you can't even get to the conversation table unless you get to the 3-judge panel. And the 3-judge panel is very serious about District 2. Now, once you make a decision of whether or not you think it's fair or not, then you have to go before a 3-judge panel. You don't sue the party. That's not what you do. What you have to do is protect the party, because now, let's say the Amendment 4, and let's say that we didn't make the timing right. Let me just say it like that. All the Democrats have to do is walk in and say, hey, this special primary was void. And if the 3-judge panel believes that it was void, then there's going to be some problems. So I anticipate, and I've been anticipating, I've been the same thing saying for since June the 2nd when we got it. Hey, make sure we dot every I. Hey, make sure we dot every T. Make sure we do this right, because the 3-judge panel got overruled by the Supreme Court with Calais. They're sitting there looking and watching intensely to make certain that we've dotted every I and crossed every T. For the first time, I've looked around, and Tuberville's the only one who's being drugged into court. But that doesn't mean that they're done. Lawfare is what they survive and thrive on. That's what they do. But if we don't do things the right way, and we leave our back door open, like we're doing with the vice president of the Democrat Party, then we can get ourselves hurt really bad. And so that's my position. I stand on that. I'm always going to stand for integrity at the voting box, whether it's qualified candidates or not. I've been doing that since 2022 when I ran. If I didn't do that, you guys would call me a fraud. Chris, you'd look at me and say, oh, Chris is a fraud. He sold out. But if it was his friend Wes, his good buddy Wes, then that'd be different. Hey, and Wesley was not involved in this special primary at all. No one's talking about the position that HB1 put Wes in. Wes was running for lieutenant governor. His name is on the federal lawsuit. He was not available because it was probably a conflict of interest. And so he's the chief election officer, and he probably wasn't able to do his full job. And I get it 100%. And that's why I keep saying, even to the standpoint where people thought we were still going to have a runoff, a May 19th election, all of that, it's been not just confusing, but it's giving our opponents a free way. And Chris, I have to ask, you saw Ms. Eisner and what she was doing on Facebook, and she's at war with her own party. She's at war with her party.
Yeah, I think I have a better shot at being elected Democrat vice chair than Tabitha Eisner has tomorrow.
Yeah, but I don't think she cares anymore.
No, I don't either. This is like a scorched earth policy.
Yeah, exactly, Chris. Brandon, look, man, I'm not a Democrat, and maybe we don't have the same platform, but she has gone straight scorched earth. And there's not been a Republican who's been able to do that, even our darker days, who would stand up to their party. Even though she's doing it what I think is probably the most crazy way to do it. But at the same time, I want to debate her. I want to debate a Democrat. I want them to come into the ring and let's debate what we're going through here. Because ultimately, right now, and it's very simple, she has a carve out inside of the inside of the Democrat Party, almost like the DSA. I hate to say it, but it's race driven. Can I just go ahead and, y'all don't mind me telling the truth, right?
No,
you're certainly free to say that.
Brandon, you've seen this before, man. I don't like racism. I hate it. I have to go out and speak in front of people who don't want a darkie to speak, a colored to speak. If you think that's all gone, man, y'all don't know what y'all's talking about. You don't know what I go through on the road, man. And I still work hard at it. Some of these so-called Republicans aren't Republicans. They're just straight up racist. And they have a comfortable place to call home. But I keep pounding. You go over there to the Democrat side, you look at what's happening with Eisner. Her complaint with Joe Reed is, you all don't play by any rules. You all don't play by any financial rules. Do you know how long Black Democrats have been saying that? A long time. And they treat her like that because she's not Black. She could have a little Black in her. She looks like she may be Black, but she looks white. But she went
Yeah,
scorched
I
earth.
think Tabitha is white.
She went scorched earth because she's really battling racism. And there's racism in the politics in the state of Alabama. That doesn't mean that you can lean on that. But what it does mean is when you speak out and you want to hold other candidates, we have it in our own party, and it doesn't come out as race, but she's battling that. And I can see it clearly. What's going to happen on Tuesday? We don't know. But what she's complaining about is there's too many people playing both sides. You got Republicans doing Democrat things. You got Democrats doing Republican things. We got a mayor, and I'm not even going to say what the county is. A Republican mayor hosted Shamari last week to a big event. Take care of his city, great. But are you a Republican or are you a Democrat? And Chris Brandon, as long as you've been alive, I'm starting to see people who I know people who would not care if Shamari got reelected, and they're Republican.
There's a bunch of establishment folks that are in the Republican tent that are very satisfied with Shamari Figures as the congressman.
That is 100% correct. That's 100% correct. That's the reason, in part, Brandon, Chris, why I said, if you are going to defeat Shamari, you cannot be a far-right Republican because it's not the Democrats you have to worry about. It's your establishment Republicans who are going to beat you to the side. And I've run into it. I've seen it. I didn't know it really existed, Brandon, until I got into this race. And I realized real quickly that we still got a lot of uniparty stuff going on here in Alabama. But Chris, I'm curious to know, I'm very curious, because by next year, we're probably going to close elections. A lot of people want this chaos that's emerging because they want to go to the party and say, see, this is the reason why we need to close elections and make it Republicans only in party registration. Let the chaos happen so that we can make policy adjustments in 2027. I know for a fact that there are parts of HB1 and parts of this election that don't pass the legal smell test. And I'm sitting here going, what are we doing? And I have, from the beginning, I have been saying it because I've been in Secretary of State races, whether you agree with John Merrill, friend, Wes, whatever it may be, or the Attorney General, there's some very basic things that must happen that I'm seeing did not happen. It's not happening since June. I mean, since like May. So I'm not new to this, and I'm deeply concerned that we're walking into a trap post August 27th. Now,
Chris, we've had you on for like 45, 50 minutes, unless there's something Christopher would like to add. I think we've covered this in pretty good detail.
No, that's all I had.
Yeah, so I want people to go out to vote. I think it's critical for Republicans to go and vote, to tell your friends, family at church on Sunday to go and vote, to grab people who are registered and get them to the polls. If we're able to do that, we may be able to overcome the chaos that's at hand. And we will never have this problem again. We will never have this problem again. And I do hope and pray that you take Christian Horn seriously. And then at the same time, you vote for the person that you think is best. Unfortunately, without a runoff, I'm not so certain that we're going to get the best person. But I'm certain that, with a larger turnout, we'll have better representation for sure. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks so
Thanks for
much,
being
Chris. Good
on.
luck Tuesday.